So I'm wondering if you could share with us what is it that a producer does? So maybe we start there, and then any misconceptions that you think people have about who a producer is on a
Sure,
film.
sure.
This is Thier of the Independent Film School interviewing filmmakers whose work premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. Links below this video to join us for the many free trainings that we offer. I'm Thier here with Tabarrok, producer of Irena's Vow. This is going to be a no spoilers interview, but the film is just beautiful and haunting in the best way, and oddly very hopeful, despite it being about World War II.
Thank you.
And I feel really fortunate to get to speak with you. I looked at Darius Films, which is your company, and I mean, well over 20 years of work and many, many films. I mean, you have worked.
It feels like work.
So I'm wondering if you could share with us what is it that a producer does? So maybe we start there, and then any misconceptions that you think people have about who a producer is on a film.
Sure. So the first way to answer the question is that unlike sort of most roles involved in making a film, even people who aren't in the film business, I think, have a basic understanding. You know, they know what a cinematographer does. They know what an editor does. You know, even I think, people who aren't in the film business have a basic understanding of what a director does. They know what a writer does, etc. Producer is probably the least known sort of element because it's very broad. It's the least defined of the roles, and it encompasses a lot of different elements of the production. The sort of the classic job of a producer, and when I say classic, what I mean is, on any given film, there may be a number of producers that don't do all of these things, or don't do, quite frankly, sometimes they don't do anything, and they're giving a producer credit for all the wrong reasons, which is a particular bone of contention of my own. But putting that, into aside, classically what a producer does is they start the ball rolling. Like, without a producer, the picture isn't even begun. Of course, it starts with a script, and in fairness and respect to the writer. Although even that isn't always the case. Sometimes the producer, as I've done many times, will option a book, or will option a magazine article, or even an idea, or a piece of news, a news article, and we'll hire a writer. So sometimes it even starts at that point where the idea, the concept comes from the producer. More often, certainly in my case, I think in most cases, but certainly in my history, I will get a written script. So a script will come into me, and we'll work on it together. It's extremely rare that a script comes in that is, yep, perfect, that's ready to go, this can be shot tomorrow type thing. Generally, a script comes in and we feel there's something there. Clearly, we react to something. We see that there's potential to it, but we'll spend some time working with a writer. We'll say, look, we think this is great, but we got to do more here. We're going to do more here. Sometimes it's commercial. We think that in order to attract a wider audience, we should do X. Sometimes it's financial. It's, the way you've written it is really difficult or expensive or impossible to make. But if we make these little changes, I think it's more feasible. That's kind of. Sometimes it's to attract talent. It's a great story, but this particular role, I don't see an actor going for this. But if we did this, I think it would be very attractive to an actor. So there are all kinds of ways in which the producer, their input can help you hope improve and make the script better. So we start that. Then we bring the director on. Again, sometimes it comes with the director, but not always. And in the case of Irena's Vow, there was no director. So we were the ones that went out there and attached Louise. And, we speak to many directors about script, and you have interviews, meetings, and so forth. So you hire the director, and then you go on casting the film. That we are the party, the producing, that obviously with the input of the director and so forth, but we'll reach out to the agents. We make the offers. We do the negotiation. We bring the actors onto the films. Then we raise the money, which is, a huge part of it. And that's why you see many producers often on films, because there's a lot of building blocks towards raising the budget. And often different people will bring different parts of the budget to the table.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'll bring X and somebody else will bring Y, and then this producer can contribute this much. So that's how, you sort of assemble it. So we assemble the financing, and then we're there for all the production. From the beginning, we're, again, speaking for myself and my history, different producers do things differently. I'm on set during prep. I'm there hiring the crew, working with their director, going to locations, helping select locations and so forth, right through production, make things go smoothly as possible. They never go perfectly smoothly, but trying to keep things on budget, on schedule, on set, so forth. Right through post, working with the editor, giving notes, getting to lock picture, working with the composer, giving feedback and notes on the music, the mix, the color, what's called the color, any VFX, till the film is fully completed. And then your job isn't even done then, because there's a whole part of the job called delivery, is that you've made the film, but then you've got all these buyers around the world that you have to deliver the film to. It sounds like a small thing, but it's actually a very large and complex step, because there's a lot of elements to a movie. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of technical elements, there's a lot of support documents, a lot of legal documents that you have to give to all of these buyers around the world to make sure that they have all the elements they need to sell the movie to the audience. And then, of course, you're involved with the marketing. We're not the primary people. We're not creating trailers and posters and so forth, but we still have input, and we still get involved with that part of it, and festivals and so forth. So it really is from the very beginning to the very end of the process. So from the time a film is greenlit, like when you're going into production, it's about 12 to 18 months of intensive work, nearly full-time concentration and attention. But then when you include all the development time, the time setting it up, to like years later, you're still sort of like doing tax returns and chasing money and doing the final bits and pieces years later. Any one movie can be like a 10-year lifespan from the beginning to the end. Sometimes longer, but that's fairly typical. Yeah. That's a long answer, but it's a long answer because it really is involved with so many aspects. And I think, you talk about the misconception. The biggest misconception that I come across when I deal with people, they think it's just a money job. They think it's all about either raising the money or spending the money. That's of very little interest. I mean, it's part of it, so I have to, be involved with that. But to me, it's a creative job. To me, I love working with writers. I love trying to make the script better. I love working with directors. I love casting films. I love working with composers. I have no musical ability of my own, but I love, working with people that do have that ability and help kind of shape the music. So the biggest misconception is that producers are, sort of MBA accountant types that are just in it for the numbers and just look at a spreadsheet and, I spend X and make Y and so forth. And that just isn't the case, In fact, even recently, as you've probably been following, there was the two strikes going on. There was a writer's strike and a SAG strike. And the frustration of mine is that the studios are labeled the producers. So they call in this sort of battle between the two sides, the AMPTP, which is, the American Federal, whatever it is, motion picture producers. But they're not actually producers. Those are studios. So Warner Brothers and Netflix and Paramount, those are big corporate entities of these agreements with the unions. They're not producers. Producers are people like me that are small business people that are just making a living.
Work their butts out.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was so great to have you lay it out. It's, like as writers, when you're querying producers, to have it in mind that what you're actually going to somebody with is 10-year commitment.
Absolutely.
When a producer is thinking about whether they're interested in a project, this is what you're looking at. This is not, do I want to give this guy a check?
Yeah.
This is 10 years of my life that I'm about to give you.
That's absolutely right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've been at this for so long and you've done so much work. What advice would you give you of 20 years ago, let's say, or longer? however long.
The two sort of, look, if I were to go back 20 years or 25 years, I would do 1,000 things differently, little steps here, turn left instead of turn right, and answer this phone call and ignore that phone call,
Yeah.
But I broadly speaking, I think there are two places where when I look back, maybe three, that I would do things differently. One is, we're a feature film production company. We started in feature films, and we've been doing that a long time. More recently, we've gotten into television, and we're producing television, developing television, pitching television, but we should have done that sooner. I wish from the very beginning of my career, I had gone down both paths at once. When I started in the early 2000s, it was, the two businesses were fairly separated, and you sort of were either a feature person or a TV person. And that's true for sort of all, like, producers, directors, actors, writers. There wasn't a lot of overlap. And I said, I want to be a feature person. I want to make feature films. And now, of course, as we know, everybody's on both sides of that. There's no longer a dividing line between the two. And television is so opened up to great storytelling, the very best talent, the best buyers. And we were a little late getting into TV. I wish in the beginning of my career, I had pushed into television and done more in television, so we'd be further ahead in that medium now, it's going to play catch up. That was number one. Number two is probably, I think, one of my weaknesses as a producer. Maybe it's being, Canadian. I live in Los Angeles, and my based in Los Angeles now, but I'm Canadian by birth and grew up in Canada. Maybe it's something inherent in the Canadian DNA, but I find it very difficult to promote and flag wave and really champion one of my films. There's something inherent in me that is like, that has difficulty with that. And it really is essential. It really is part of the job, that when I'm pitching a movie, when I'm looking for money to make a movie or cash to make a movie in the beginning, I can go out there and really sell it. I can say, this is a great film. It's fantastic. Your client should do this, or you should put money into it. No problem. Once a film is finished and it's out there in the world, I'm sort of like, well, whatever happens, happens. But you can't. You really should be out there pushing and promoting and getting in front of audience and saying, you got to see this movie. And that's a real skill set that I struggle with. So, looking back over my career, I think, where have I fallen short? It's with the finished movies, one just out there in the world in front of the audience. I should have done a better job kind of championing it right through to the end, of pushing it and promoting it. It's more of a self-promoter. That's a skill set that I lack,
Yeah. I almost think of it as two halves of the job. There's creating the film and there's promoting the film. And it's not like an aspect of it. It's really
very
two
much
pieces.
So.
Yeah. That's. Something that people often wonder about is how to approach new collaborations and how to build a solid foundation in a new collaboration even before the shoot. What does that look like?
Yeah. So
and are there new collaborations for someone who's been working forever?
Absolutely. So that was a great segue, because it perfectly gave an opening to my answer, which is, as a producer, or as I am not one, but if you were a studio executive or someone who worked at a company that can greenlight, you absolutely have to be open to new collaborations, because that's where ideas are coming from, and if we stay working with the same old guard forever, fresh new ideas aren't going to get out there in the world. So one thing that we do well is that we're open to meeting and want to meet with everyone. So, we've obviously made, as you mentioned, a lot of movies. We know a lot of writers and directors, and some of them are very talented, but we don't just want to work with those people over and over again. I want to work with somebody who's 25 years old and just made a short film, or who's just had the film, their micro budget feature just got made, or they haven't even made a film yet, but they've written a script, because that person, they're going to be the talent. They're the next Quentin Tarantino or Ava DuVernay or whomever it is, Ryan Gosling or whomever. So I'm always open to meeting new talent, meeting new people, reading new scripts, because you can't just work with your same old network. You got to constantly be broadening. And then to answer the question from the other side, if you're someone who is the new talent and trying to sort of get in and make inroads and so forth, here's the mistake that I've seen on both sides. You don't want to make it all about, hey, help me out. Do me a favor. Please read my script. You have to let the other person know, I have something to bring of value to you. It's got to be on both sides. So when you pitch somebody, when you are approaching someone, it has to be, I'm not looking for a handout. I'm not looking for charity. I'm not looking for a favor. I have something of value. I have a great idea, or I have a great script, or I have a great whatever, that I think if you help me out with this, we'll both benefit. But then you can't
That makes so much sense.
too far and be sort of cocky about it. And I've had both approaches where it's, and I mean, like, this is the best idea I've ever heard. And, you got to do this. And if you make my movie, you're going to make $1 million, $100 million. This is the best idea ever. And that's kind of a turnoff too. As well, based on what, like if Quentin Tarantino came to me with that pitch, he's got a track record to kind of prove it, right? But he's not knocking on my door. So if you're a newcomer, you got to find the right balance between, I've got something of value, I have something to offer you, but I also appreciate that I'm sort of like, haven't proven myself yet. So I'm asking you to be open-minded and hear my thoughts.
That's interesting. Yeah. As someone who has queried for decades, that balance, what I found is you have to be very in tune with what you have to offer and how is your project a gift? And be very well connected to that. And then as you approach someone, learn about them. And that's what takes the cockiness out of it. Like, find out who this person is, not this repository of endless money who's going to make magic happen in your life. This is a person who works hard, who's trying to find good work, and find out about them. Who are they? You know?
If I can just expand on that, because you said something which is really smart, and I'm glad you said it, because you should also tailor your pitch and your approach to what the recipient has done and what they're looking to do. So, in say a company like mine, don't come to me with a Marvel movie. Like, don't pitch me, I've got this superhero thing, because I'm not in that world, right? I'm not making $200 million Marvel movies. So don't come to me with that pitch. Just the way I put it in television is, don't go to HBO and pitch them a police procedural, because they just don't do that, right? They're not in the Law and Order business. They're not in the Dick Wolf business.
Right.
It's not that they're better or worse. It's just that they'll do case of the week cop shows. So if that's your idea, don't pitch it to HBO. Same token, if you have a dark, gritty, serialized drama, you got True Detective, don't go to NBC and pitch NBC True Detective. Like, tailor your pitch to your buyer. I use the word buyer very broadly. Because the other thing, as I said, don't bring me a $200 million Marvel movie, because I'm not going to be able to help you get that made. The other thing, people come to me all the time, and their pitch is, it can be done for a really low budget. Oh, I can do a low budget. That's not appealing to me. I don't want to make a movie for $500,000 or even $1 million. Like, don't lead with, it can be done for cheap.
This is cheap.
That's not an appealing proposition. Tell me that it's a smart idea and a brilliant idea and it's critically acclaimed. Tell me that. Don't tell me it can be done for real cheap.
So, Nicholas, we're going to wrap up here with me offering you a little challenge.
You didn't work me about that. You didn't cut me for that.
Because I just thought of it. I did tell you would wing it. So, we're going to be sharing this interview with our audience, which is fast growing. We had 20,000 new subscribers just join us in the last 2 weeks. Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
We're very fast growing. Yes. So I anticipate many people getting to enjoy and benefit from this interview for years to come. And when we do, they're going to be hearing about Irena's vow. So I want to ask you, what do you love about this film?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking me that, to give me the opportunity to answer that. So, as you've said a couple of times, very kindly, we've made a lot of movies, but and some of them are very good and very proud of and happy with, but they've all, to this point, been fictional and sort of entertainment. Come sit down, and for the next 90 minutes or 100 minutes, we hope to make you engaged and so forth. Irena's Vow is the first movie that I've made that really has important human message. It is the true story of a young woman. She was 18 years old at the time in Poland, that when the Nazis invaded and occupied Poland, she herself wasn't Jewish. So she was allowed to live, and she was forced to work, as a forced worker in a Nazi's mansion. He took over this mansion, and she was forced to work as his maid. And at 18 years old, she took in and hid 12 Jews and kept them alive in the basement during the entire occupation. I mean, it's incredible. As I say, they were living both figuratively and literally under the nose of the highest ranking Nazi soldier in Tarnopol, this town in Poland. So the courage and the conviction and selflessness that she showed was really remarkable. So for that reason, this film was really different from anything else I've done, in that it's a real hero. I mean, it's a person who was true and lived and made a huge contribution. And if you save 12 people's lives, as the tree grows, you've affected hundreds and thousands of people today. That her incredible courage has affected positively. So
yeah, that's what really pierced me, is her courage. And there's a rabbinic quote: "When you save one life,
yes.
you've saved a universe."
Yes.
And I want to share with you personally that I come from a family of Holocaust survivors. My mom was, and my grandparents were. And the reason I'm here today is because of a non-Jewish woman who risked her life and saved my family. Wow. So I'm getting a little choked up. But when I watched your film, it went in deep.
I mean, happy might not be the right word, but that makes me satisfied. That makes me gratified. It maybe is the better word. And that it's had that effect on you and hopefully others. And thank you for saying that. And I'm glad with you. That's what we want, And we're people are going to watch us at different times. We're recording this in November of 2023. The movie will come out in early 2024. So I hope people get to see it.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you,
Nicholas. And again, the link is under this video. And really, really appreciate your time and
well, thank you for inviting me onto your show, and best of luck and congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. You've subscribed to my channel. You love these videos. It's time for that 90-minute masterclass where I help you eliminate writing blocks and arrive at your best screenplays. Join me at theindependentfilmschool.com. Link is below, and I'll invite you to my training. It is absolutely free. I'll see you there.